Hello and welcome to Word in the Burg, our monthly topical talk show in which we talk about issues that are important to Harrisburg and the region. This month is National Hunger Action Month, and we're here with Joe Arthur, Executive Director of the Central PA Food Bank, and Jennifer Powell, Director of Development for the Food Bank. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mayor.
I am wearing my orange bracelet. Orange is the color of National Hunger Action Month. The website is Hunger Bites, sort of an edgy title. Tell us a little bit, Joe, about activities for the month and why you chose Hunger Bites as a website.
Sure. We chose Hunger Bites a few years ago and have built on that. It is an edgy approach. Hunger actually hurts. It hurts people. So we thought that would be a way to get attention during Hunger Action Month. Some of our big events on the 23rd, right here at Metro Park here in Harrisburg, we have a whole slew of legislators playing a Capitol All-Stars game to raise funds for fighting hunger around the state. So that's a big event on the 23rd in the evening, 5:30. So, and the public is welcome. In fact, we'd love to see many, many people there. And then on the 30th, we have a Can Hunger Drive right here in Harrisburg. We're going to line up the cans that we receive in donations right up the Capitol steps, right on State Street here in Harrisburg. And we do a lot of other events around the food bank. Yesterday, we had 13 legislators visit us to hear about how we work, visited our food bank and gave them a tour and had a great question and answer session, really talking about hunger in the mid-state.
That's right, and I think the public is aware of seeing those food bank barrels all around town. Are they out now, starting for the September 30th Canathon?
They are. We have quite a few businesses that are participating, and we start our corporate food drive this month as well, even beyond the Can Hunger Drive. So the barrels are going out on the streets, and pretty soon we'll have none left. It's that popular.
So look for the barrels, and if you want information on where to donate, you can probably go to hungerbites.com.
And you could, and then our regular website at centralpafoodbank.org it's a great site for everything from volunteering to just how you can help, how you can donate, how you can participate in fighting hunger.
That's great. How many cans fit on the steps leading up to the Capitol? Do we know?
Thousands. I don't know how many.
Good question.
Okay.
We'll find out.
But every year we've made it, right?
Last year we made it. This year we hope to have them not have to space out quite as much. More cans.
Excellent. Wonderful. Now, Jennifer, you've only relatively recently taken over as Director of Development for the food bank, and I know your story is deeply personal. Tell us why it is that you've chosen to dedicate your time and energy to fighting hunger.
Mayor, thank you. That's a very good question. I have been in the nonprofit world literally all of my life, but before I entered that, I actually received services. Unfortunately, I was in a really harmful, physically abusive relationship and had to flee and go into a domestic violence shelter. And at that time, I had to utilize services like the food bank. And I distinctly remember a time when I had to stand in line. It was really cold outside for a big box of food. And at that time, the box of food was not what really my family ate, but it was needed because we didn't have anything else to sort of make our ends meet to the end of the month. So at the time, I really felt like it was a negative experience. I was very embarrassed. But I look back because that was truly the catalyst for change. There were programs, there were services that helped me, motivated me. And when I applied for the job at the food bank, I was overwhelmed at how the food bank has changed. And it's not your mother's food bank, your grandmother's food bank. You're not gonna get a heavy box full of dented cans and day-old bread. You're getting vegetables, fruits. You are able to truly feed your family a hungry, nutritious meal with the food that we provide. And that, to me, provides dignity. You're already at a really low place in your life, and then to receive something that might not be standard or what someone wanted to give away just makes you feel even worse about the situation. So going there, I just knew I had to be here. I had to work for this organization and help those that were in need, as I was once myself.
Wow, and I think that's tremendously important. And the way it sounds like the food bank is really focusing on nutrition. There's a lot of talk, especially here in the urban center of Harrisburg, about the fact that we don't have a grocery store, that we're something of a food desert. We're working hard in the city to empower our Broad Street Market, and there's a movement for urban gardening.
Right.
But can you talk, Jennifer, a little bit about the food bank's commitment to nutrition and fresh produce?
Oh, it is one of our top priorities, a strategic initiative for lack of a better phrase. I mean, we are committed to getting produce, nutritional items, dairy. One of the new initiatives, being so new myself, but one of the newer initiatives with the food bank is the distribution of fresh milk. Who would have thought that we would be able to provide fresh milk to those that have a need? Vegetables from local farmers. There's so many partnerships that have been going on and cultivated so that we're able to make a difference in people's lives. And one of our goals that we have is to be able to provide what you see at a grocery store. When you go into a grocery store, it's said that 20% of your cart should be fresh fruits and vegetables. And so really we've committed to having that for the folks that come and receive services at the pantries and the programs that we partner with.
That's so important, and I think it is different than maybe what the public thinks of when they think food bank. Joe, can we talk a little bit about the scope
Sure.
of the problem, not only in Harrisburg, but in Dauphin County and in the region at large? What are the numbers? How many people are affected by hunger?
And it is a big issue, and actually it starts nationally, but we consider this area the heartland of Pennsylvania, and actually it's a heartland for the nation too. We're in a strong agricultural region. It's almost unbelievable that we could have a major hunger problem in the mid-state, but we do. And it really hasn't recovered since the recession, although we see employment picking up and, in terms of the unemployment rate dropping. Underneath that, there's a big challenge for even working families to make ends meet. The solid, well-paying, good benefit jobs just aren't quite there the way they used to be. So we're serving a lot of those folks. In our network, we're serving twice as many people as we did in 2007.
Wow.
So throughout central Pennsylvania, that's about 55,000 people each week that are relying on food bank services or pantries and our other partners, twice what it was 5 years ago. Right here in Dauphin County, that's about 14,000 people every week relying on us. And then right here in the city, that's about 9,000 people of the 14. So truly a big issue, and we want to remind the public, and really that's who supports us. We work on contributions, donations, volunteerism, that hunger has not really gotten better. It's actually gotten worse. And we want the public to know that is the case, and we really need their help.
Wow. So in the city, that's 9,000 individuals in a city with a population of under 50,000.
Right.
It's really an enormous
So 1 in
percentage.
5 are coming for help on a regular basis. The other thing I would say, Mayor, is that it's not just a city problem. Folks tend to think that way, but it's actually an issue in rural areas. Very hard to serve in rural areas because there's not as many programs, of government. And even suburban areas are struggling. We have food pantries in places like Hershey, Pennsylvania, Camp Hill. Those are not the names we normally associate, with hunger, but it is there. But here in Harrisburg, as we all probably know, because of the concentration of population, it's actually a bit worse, particularly childhood hunger, a very big issue.
Sure. And can you talk a little bit specifically about your outreach to the school system?
Certainly. We have a number of school districts that we work very closely with. Right here close to home, Harrisburg School District is a very key partner. We participate in their Explore program, which is after-school activities, and we bring a hearty meal for children in need within a number of schools within the district. We also participate in backpack programs. We supply the food and backpacks, and then volunteers in the district provide that to children. So we serve several thousand children right here in the Harrisburg School District.
Now, Jennifer, it's not just about poverty. It's about having access to nutritious food, especially if you're on the margins or you're in between jobs, or
Yes.
you're working but unable to make all ends meet. Can you talk a little bit about outreach and how the organization reaches those in need?
Truly. Another thing that surprised me being so new were some of the myths, and although I received services, was in a situation, now so many years later, I really thought it was a different population. And, a small percentage are homeless. Less than 2% here in Dauphin County are homeless that receive food assistance services from us and our partners. Those that have education, there's a large percentage of folks that have completed high school or GED, and another percentage that even has achieved a college degree. But there's many people that are facing really tough decisions, like paying their bills, their utility bills, or buying food, paying for transportation and buying food, medication and buying food. So one of the key components that we do is we actually work with a network of partners. They're the ones out on the front lines. They know the communities. They know the people that live within their proximity. So our real function is to be able to get that food to those partners so that they can do the great work that they're doing on the streets within our communities. So it is our goal to make that as accessible, as easy, and as low as price to those program partners like the missions, Our Daily Bread programs here in Harrisburg City. So one of the goals that we have is to make that process as seamless and as least expensive as possible. So that's one of the things that we do, is work with a core group of partner agencies, over 800 within central Pennsylvania, to be able to provide those services.
And Joe, are you able to keep up with the demand?
Actually, it takes a lot of work to keep bringing in enough food and enough resources to do that. I would say that we live in a very generous area, so we have been able to keep up with the demand that's on us. But one of the things that moves demand is the budgets at the federal and state and local level for government. As those programs have pulled back a bit in recent years, that's created more demand for us. So I would say it's harder work now to find enough. So how we've done that is actually grown. Actually, Jennifer, as Director of Development, that's a new position for us to really help us develop resources. So, but we have great support. We're thankful to individuals, the companies, the foundations that support us, because without that and without volunteerism, we wouldn't be able to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Let's drill down a little more deeply on the actual network itself, both here in Harrisburg and central Pennsylvania more generally. Can you talk about the specific network and where people can find assistance?
Sure. Jennifer gave a couple of examples in downtown Daily Bread, which is right close by, and Bethesda Mission. But probably more typical is pantry services. And the largest one in Harrisburg, and actually one of the largest in our 27 counties, is actually right near the Capitol at Messiah Lutheran. It's called Ecumenical Food Pantry. And that's supported by a ministry of churches and other organizations and just plain donors that actually donate both food and money to Ecumenical. They serve well over 1,000 families in a month, each and every month, right near the Capitol. That's probably, it's bigger than typical, but the services they provide are fairly typical. But we have about 100 partners right in the Harrisburg City area, probably 200 in the Harrisburg region as a whole. So it's an extensive network. Beyond pantry services, we also provide food to low-income housing centers, children's organizations like Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Club. We also serve some kind of special programs around reentry for inmates that are re-entering society. Just give you an idea of the broad spectrum that we do. Many school-based programs. I mentioned kids cafes and backpack programs. Those are huge. And then a senior program we call Elder Share that helps seniors get a box of food every month to supplement their their diet. So we have a broad, really a broad range of partners, and our goal is really to help them do their work and take care of the food and nutrition piece. They're providing wonderful services, helping people get on their feet, caring for them. Our job is to find food, find the best food for them.
That's great. And is there, how does it work from an ordering standpoint? Is it sort of a la carte? Can the organization say we need this and this?
We're proud that we can offer what we call a full choice system. So if you were to come to our warehouse, you would see about 3 million pounds of food.
Oh my.
A broad spectrum of food, fresh vegetables and produce being part of that, dairy, anything that you can pretty much see in a grocery store. We try to stock, and then we let our partners select what they need.
You do?
They basically order like you would from a commercial enterprise.
Mm. Great.
It's amazing.
Jennifer, what were your thoughts when you walked into the warehouse?
I was overwhelmed. I had no idea. And again, I've been in the nonprofit world my entire career and have worked with different programs that have utilized services from the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. I had no idea the scope and magnitude, presence that this organization has, and just all of the good work. I mean, it is a distribution center. I mean, trucks are going, volunteers are packing. I mean, it is just a well-oiled machine, and it really makes a difference. And again, taking it back to, I've got to be a part of this. I've got to be a part of this.
Oh, that's great.
And one of the reasons that we chose Jennifer, because you can get caught up in the production of food banking. You never want to forget that there's people on the other side, and Jennifer brings a perspective to us that helps us focus back in on what's right for that child, what's right for that senior, what obstacles are they facing, and what can we do to remove the obstacles, and having someone around on the leadership team that reminds us what it's like to be on the receiving end is a tremendous boost to our team. So you can see why we brought her on.
Oh, I can sense that immediately. As the Director of Development, yes. What are the organization's needs? Here's your chance to make that ask.
Well, of course, for every dollar that is donated, we can provide 6 meals. And I saw this really, it just really provided a visual in that, you look at what you might be able to spend for $10 at a grocery store, and then it's, maybe a box of cereal, a can of pasta, just a few little things. But the leveraging and the ability that the food bank is able to do is a whole table full of food. And so providing those financial donations enables us to then make the nutritious and healthy food available to the program partners and those that have a need. So it critically is important to provide financial support. But the organization also operates truly on the backs of our volunteers. Literally thousands of volunteers come through our organizational doors each year and provide, I think it's 35,000 hours of service. And so I cannot discredit and cannot underscore the importance of, the time, the talent, the treasure. But it is critically important that we're able to continue to provide these services to our partners so that they're able to continue to provide their services to those that have a need. So yes, we're looking to continue to be able to do our good work, and it's only through the support of generous individuals and businesses that believe in what we do and want to end hunger.
Absolutely, that's the goal.
If I might add one T to the time, talent, and treasure, we also love when people advocate. So if they pick up the telephone and call their legislator and remind them those programs for people in need, things like SNAP or food stamps, the state programs that help people in need, so important because we're part of the picture, and we're really a great example of where public-private partnerships work together.
Yep.
We do need their help to keep the legislators in Harrisburg focused on. It's harmful when those cuts come through.
Well, let's talk about that advocacy. We are, after all, here in Harrisburg,
Right.
the center of lobbying for the Commonwealth. What should we be asking for our legislators to support?
I think it's important that people realize that budget balancing is very, very important, but there's been a tendency the last few years from the national level down through the state to put a lot of that balancing on the backs of folks who are in need, poor people.
Well, there's basically been, especially on the national level, a vilification of folks that are...
There really has, and
Yeah.
we're out there trying to remind folks that at any point in time, anybody can be in need. It may or may not be food, but at some point in your life, you're going to need help. You're going to need services. You're going to need a friend. You're going to need someone who cares. And the more that you cut into those government-provided programs, it makes it that much harder to get services. There's a lot of waiting lists. Harrisburg's a good example, whether it's the Head Start program for children or mental health services. It's hard. You're on a long waiting list. And that's really no way to, I think, to help citizens who are really trying hard. So we just want people to step up and call their legislators, remember that there are people on the other end of those programs.
Well, I think one of the striking things you said at the outset is the degree to which the demand has doubled, I think, since the real estate collapse of 2007, 2008. And at the same time, you've seen a sort of restriction of funding on the state and the federal level. How do you combat the myth, and we'll call it a myth, out there that somehow there are individuals out there sort of taking advantage, and that this is somehow a disincentive to self-sufficiency? That's
a great question, Mayor. I appreciate that, because we do have to bust a lot of myths in our work. And the way I always answer that is, first of all, Jennifer kind of gave us a picture of what it's like to be in that line. It is not fun. Mm-hmm. It is not a place you go voluntarily. Scamming the system is not enough of an incentive to get free food. That's such a low percentage of the people that we serve that it's not really worth our time and our donors' resources trying to get that less than 1% to play fair. We're worried about the 99% of the people that come to our programs who really, truly need help. That's where we focus our energy. And we'd really like to see the public focus their energy around that. How do we help serve people? How do we help them get back on their feet, get that job that they really need, that higher paying job with benefits? How do we do that? Let's spend less time worrying about trying to save that last dollar on someone who's not paying fair. Most people are fair, good people. That's our view.
Yeah. If anything, Jennifer, I imagine it's really the opposite. It's trying to convince people to accept the assistance more so than dissuade folks from taking something that they don't need. Can you talk about the mission and how the outreach is done?
Well, our mission is fighting hunger, improving lives, and strengthening communities. So I think those three particular phrases are so important for people to know that we are daily in that fight. We want no one to be hungry. Heartland of our state, a very wealthy country overall. I mean, no one should be hungry. We shouldn't have children that can't focus at school because all they can think about is their stomach growling. And all they can think about is perhaps hoarding at lunchtime or not knowing what they're going to do on the weekends. So that is number one for us. And with fighting hunger, lives improve. So we talk about the systemic changes and making significant changes as a country, as a state, so that people don't have to be in this situation. And then finally, it strengthens communities because we all are a community. We all are here together. And so perhaps maybe, we have a neighbor that's in need. That should be looking at our neighbor as ourself and saying, their situation, we want to be able to improve that situation for all. So again, work through our partners and their on-the-ground efforts and reaching those people that have a need. And you're absolutely right. Some people are embarrassed. They don't want to receive this. There's a lot of cultural barriers with folks and feeling a level of pride and not wanting to ask or receive that help.
What would you say?
Pardon?
What would you say to those folks?
What would I say to someone that says, no, I don't need? I would always just make it available. It's here. You know, you have to be sensitive to someone's feelings or culture, but to know that it's here, to continue expanding our partner network so it's in the communities where people see it, and go there. So they might go there for an after-school program their children do, or they might go to a senior center, or they might go to a community center. So having our pantries and our programs right there in their neighborhoods, their communities, it becomes a little bit less of a barrier, but also less of a stigma attached to it because it's part of what's going on in the community. But I would never pressure anyone, I would never force anyone, but I would always try to make it available, make it as easy as possible.
Normalize it,
and normalize
it. And work with those with that community network of providers that are already well established.
Right.
Let's just talk briefly. We're almost out of time about the elderly. We have an aging population here in central Pennsylvania, and a lot of times we don't think of the face of hunger as an older face. Can you?
And it's really a huge segment of need. About 1 in 10 of our clients are actually elderly. And you're right, Pennsylvania is one of those states that has a larger population. And it's kind of a hidden problem. Many elderly people are isolated. So we're blessed that we have organizations locally here and throughout central Pennsylvania that are focused on helping the elderly. That's why I mentioned the senior centers and places like that. They're friends, they know these folks. Our job is really just to find food for them, good food that's good for a senior, because health issues are even a much bigger problem for our seniors. And I did want to point out on the health front, we have some partnerships developing that really bring together food and nutrition and health. Right here in Harrisburg, we have Pinnacle Health, who's a big supporter of ours, a friend over the years, but recently has really been engaging. So whether it's and seniors use a lot of their services, but whether it's seniors or just folks in general, the food bank is working with healthcare partners to try to close that gap between kind of what we're eating in general and what our health problems are.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Joe and Jennifer, for coming and talking to us today. Remember, September is National Hunger Action Month. Wear orange, visit hungerbites.com, support the upcoming activities, the food drive that's going to culminate on the 30th, the legislative game at Senator Stadium on the 23rd. And remember, if you've got suggestions for topics for future shows, please give us an email to wordintheburg@cityofhbg.com. We'll see you next time. Thank you.